context, like as I was mentioning, so I've founded my own marketing tech company, having never studied marketing tech or know how to run a company 3 years ago. And so my job today is, as well as extracting some learning and wisdom out of Guy that might be different than some of the videos and the stand-ups that he's done across the globe, it's also probably to normalise the turbulence that entrepreneurs are feeling. How many of you are in a startup? Yep.
Everybody.
So almost everyone here.
Everybody who's not a surfer.
Everyone who's not a surfer. And I've got to be honest, I'm not sure if I would have started my company had I known the sacrifice and how hard it has been. So today a lot of the discussion that we'll have, fair enough, a lot of the discussion will be about you guys in your own respective things, realising that it's pretty normal to be experiencing those things, and it's, you know, you're biting off more than you can chew at different times. And that's what the discussion will be, because obviously you're a very calming, warm individual. So that will be
Are we going to have a question here?
Yes. We are. All right, here's the first question. First question, why don't more companies have evangelists? It seems like you're the only one with that job title.
Well, I mean, there was Jesus before me. You know, I think it's because there's obviously a religious connotation to it. And so many people in a secular business would be uncomfortable with evangelists. And now, there's also a lot of confusion between the word evangelism and evangelical, which is very different, right? Particularly in the United States, evangelical is a very different word since 2016. So it's that, but you know, it's in the secular sense, evangelism comes from Greek roots, meaning bringing the good news. And so in my first role as an evangelist, I was a Macintosh evangelist, so I brought the good news of Macintosh, that it would make you more creative and more productive. And now, in the last job of my life, I'm the chief evangelist of Canva out of Sydney, and I'm bringing the good news of Canva. How many of you use Canva already? Yeah, so Canva is good news. It makes you be able to create great graphics, right? That's an empowering, it's democratizing design, it's good news. So the key to evangelism is that you have good news, because it's very easy to evangelize good stuff. It's hard to evangelize crap. Trust me, I mean, I've tried. So, you know, I could, for example, if Microsoft called me up, I could not evangelize Windows.
I've got social media.
Yes.
2014. No doubt there's a few predictions in there. What did you get right and what did you get wrong?
Really, you know, there were no predictions in there. In the sense that it's not a predictive kind of book. I'm not trying to position myself as a visionary, this kind of person. I'm not a visionary. I'm just a marketing guy. And so the art of social media, and all my books really are extremely tactical. It's how to optimize social media. It's not the future of social media, because I think that's all bullshit anyway. So it's how to use, my book, The Art of the Start 2.0, is how to be an entrepreneur. It's not about, you know, the futures of entrepreneurship.
How has your hunger and drive evolved over time?
It's decreased. Listen, I'm 64 years old, and I have 4 children, and the youngest 2 are 13 and 17. And so, you know, 2/3 of my life at least are over. And at that point, you have a very different perspective. Like, I don't want to be CEO of another company. I don't want to be Melanie Perkins. I'm just thrilled to work for Melanie Perkins, but I don't want to be the CEO anymore because my days are limited with my children. You know, there's an issue of, you know, you want to appear like this, you know, big dog on the porch, fearless, visionary, going to change the world, dent the universe, whatever, right? You know it and I know it. It's total bullshit. You don't know where the next venture capital fund is coming, if it's coming. You don't know if your potential partnership is going to work. You have no idea. You should be scared. You have every right to be. If you're not scared, you're stupid. Those are only 2 conditions. So you should be scared. Fear is a good thing. You know, when I worked in the Macintosh division, There were times where Steve Jobs would just pick on somebody, like, pick on that guy and say, who hired him? Who hired him? I want to know who hired him. Why is he still working in our division? And I saw that happen a few times, and I said, shit, man, I am never going to be that guy. So I will tell you that the fear of embarrassment and the fear of failure was a fantastic motivating force. And, in this kind of time, it's all about political correctness, that, he and I should meet, we should develop goals that we agree on, and I'm going to focus on the positive and, not accentuate the negative. It has to be an uplifting, positive experience. Well, that is not exactly how Steve Jobs ran the Macintosh division. And so, I woke up every day scared that he was going to pick on me, so I did the best work of my life.
Second guess himself?
Not in my presence. I suppose at some level he must have feared something, but
yeah.
Let's just say Steve Jobs is about 6 standard deviations beyond most people. And to put it in technical terms, he had a different operating system. And, I don't think, I consider myself one, I don't think mere mortals can understand his operating system. And so it's very difficult to define that. It's also very dangerous to try to emulate Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Because there has been, I think in the history of American business, I would say there's been Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. There's like 3, 4, maybe 5 people who truly were visionaries. So,
and they're wide, or what is the right amount of madness for an entrepreneur?
Well, it's more than you think it would be.
Yeah.
I think fundamentally entrepreneurs are misfits, and they see the world differently. This is why it's so hard to judge an entrepreneur at the seed stage. Like many venture capitalists will tell you, we invest in people, and we value world-class teams the highest. But the truth is that at the moment that you have to squeeze the trigger and invest in a company, you have no idea what you're investing in. And yeah, sure, we can sit here in 2018 and say, yeah, we knew Steve Jobs was the world's greatest entrepreneur. Well, who knew that in 1976, right? So, when he's in a garage and he hasn't finished college and all this kind of stuff, you wouldn't exactly, in 1976, you would not have said, this is a world-class entrepreneur. So the key to this, honestly, is hindsight.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to know with foresight. And I love to use this analogy, and I use it all the time for Silicon Valley investment, which is we throw a lot of stuff up against the wall. Some of it sticks. We go up to the wall. We paint the bullseye. We hit the bullseye. So,
there's your tweet.
yeah, I mean that's how it's done. I don't want Silicon Valley is not unicorns and pixie dust. I mean we just
So, a lot of startups. What's the most common reason some of them don't take off? Is there a
lack of sales. The leading cause of failure in tech startups is death. So obviously I'm being facetious, but it really. Let me tweet this, okay? This is the greatest wisdom you're going to receive today. Yeah, where's the mic? Sales fixes everything. That's it. You can talk about all the strategic partnerships, all the potential, all the patent pending, curve jumping, paradigm shifting technology you have, all the interests you've witnessed, all this kind of stuff. All of that is meaningless. Sales fixes everything. So when you have sales, it's easier to recruit. It's easier to keep people happy. You can pay for the foosball and the ping pong and the free food. Your investors who are on 10 boards, 9 of which have no sales, they're triaging those 9. Guess who they're going to leave alone? You, because you have sales. So the key is do whatever it takes to get sales. Sales fixes everything.
As an entrepreneur, I've heard you talk about defaulting to a yes mindset. When does that become counterproductive? Because as a founder, I'm actually trying to master no.
Well, so to give you more insight into what he just said, one of my theories is in life you should default to yes. That you should always be having this attitude of yes until proven no, good until proven bad. And I think many people walk around saying, you know, the default is no, so you have to argue me out of that position. And I try to always default to yes, because it has paid off, honestly. That I have met people, I've started relationships, I've done things, I've had adventures, like a lot of things because I defaulted to yes. And a lot of people, they have a very different attitude. That, what's your credentials? Who introduced you, et cetera, et cetera. My belief is that the rising tide floats all boats. And when I first got involved with Canva 5 years ago, I didn't know who they were. My virtual assistant was using Canva to create graphics. And one day, Cliff and Melanie reached out over Twitter to me, and I had to ask my VA, is this the company you're telling me that you're using to make our graphics? She said, yes. I said, well, should I help them? And she said, yes, that is a very good company. And that's why I got involved with Canva. It's not like I said, well, who are their investors? What school did they go to? What degrees do they have? How much traction do they have already? It was literally my VA said, yeah, cool company. You ought to help them, guy. And the rest is history. So that's something Australians are not that good at. You don't know how to declare victory. I can teach you that. Yeah, you need to fake it till you make it. I mean, trust me, we're very good at that.
As budding entrepreneurs, your idea is everything, and your idea is also nothing, because you're nothing without your big idea, but it means nothing without 99% execution.
Right.
What is your view on those people that have the big idea and are really cagey and don't want to share it, versus those people that know that their idea could get ripped off, but they scream it from the rooftops for the network?
In my humble, as I've gotten older and older, I've come to the opinion that ideas are easy, implementation is hard. So it's really about implementation. If I just told you, well, why don't you have an online graphic service to design all types of graphics with pre-made templates so people can create a beautiful graphic in less time it takes to boot Photoshop? That's a brilliant idea, but try to make it happen. I mean, I see how much it took to make Canva successful. So I think ideas are easy. I can give you good ideas all day long. Have a really stable, easy to use operating system for computers. That's a multi-billion-dollar idea. Knock yourself out. Try to make that, right? So I would also say in a more negative sense that if you are telling me that simply the knowledge of what your idea is renders it defenseless, you don't have a viable idea, right? If you just told me the idea for Tribe, that we're going to enable influencers to, create content for a bid, and then the brand can buy it. And if you told me that idea, and now I've told it to, another 1,000 people, if you told me that me just understanding and telling it, how do you know I'm not going to get on a United Airlines plane tomorrow, go back to the United States, and say, okay, so here, I found this great idea in Australia, here we're going to rip it off, right? But you know how hard it would be to rip that idea off. If it's that easy to rip it off, you don't have a good idea.
And I will find you. Who needs a gun in Australia?
Well, with the freaking snakes and spiders, why do you need guns? Can I just tell you, I want you to know where I stand politically. So,
I didn't have that.
I have to tell you, I love Australia. It's like coming from America. So first of all, you have gun control. What a concept. Not everybody needs an AR-15, Hallelujah. Right? And then everybody gets a vaccine here. What a concept. Science. I don't see a lot of autistic people here. Okay. And And then, unlike my country where we're trying to restrict people from voting, you require people to vote. What a concept. Like, we're 3 for 3. And then, I fly domestically. I flew to Gold Coast the other day. I flew to Melbourne the other day. You don't require ID. What a concept. I don't see planes being hijacked every day. And then you have...
We can't be stuffed, we're usually drunk.
Yeah. Well, and then you have this amazing thing called flat whites. Well, what a great country. I mean, I just love Australia.
Be careful asking for a long black. When you
Yeah. What's a long black?
Well, it's just, you know, when you talk about our drinks, they sound racist when you go over there.
Yeah. Well, no, but what is a long...
Or derogatory.
What, that's not the...
It's Americano.
Oh. I thought it was a rugby team.
They're wide blacks.
Well, is it...
All Blacks.
You guys play cricket here?
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah, so... Isn't there a term in cricket like rolling a Chinaman?
I'm not going. I'm not
There
going.
is, right? Is that true?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Such a
there
thing
We've
as
actually,
rolling-
to be honest, it's taken us a little bit longer to catch up. And we are...
In
we,
cricket?
No, we cheat.
I have to ask you though, how come you guys change prime minister every other week?
I don't know, we just want to go through everyone's names, and there's only 8. Tony, Keith, Bob.
How about we give you Donald Trump, you give us Lane and Mick Fanning?
I'll give you Lane and Carl Sanderlands. He's a radio host.
Yeah? Throw in a shark and we got a deal.
Yeah. I was speaking to him for pointing him out.
There's a 12-year-old?
Yep, there he is there, Cardens. So Cardens is starting his own business at the moment. He's only started this week, so...
What took you so long?
And he's got his mum there, Anthea, and he's starting the business, but he thought with Anthea that he would come here and see if he can pick up some tips for us. So
Next session will be great.
the idea behind it is that he's creating content for real estate agents. They give him all the images, and what he does is he applies motion and some graphics, obviously through Canva.
Yeah, obviously.
And then applies in another marketplace like Fiverr to get voiceovers, and then he sells it back to the real estate agents so they have more, mobile first video for what is traditionally quite a bit of a boring area.
Do you put a camera in a house and do a 3D so you can create a 3D and walk through the house too?
Catch up, Cadence. So he's 12 once again.
No, I just...
Do you? 64.
Yeah. But
That's where it's going, of course.
Yeah, I have a friend in the real estate business, and literally, there's they come in, they set up a camera, the camera just rotates, and then you can walk through the house. It's a beautiful thing.
On VR, yeah. How can we, because you've been very generous to us today, how can we help you?
Obviously, use Canva.
Yep.
Drive a Mercedes. Try Privy. I'm on the board of directors of Privy.
Yeah.
Privy is like, think of Privy as Instagram meets Slack.
Yep, that was Simon Hudson.
Yeah, that was Simon Hudson, the guy before.
He founded that.
I have a new book coming out at the end of this coming February. It's called Wise Guy. And it's basically, it's stories from my life and what I learned, the wisdom from each story.
So it's a short book.
It's got more readers than Tribe has customers.
Yeah, that's right, and it hasn't even launched yet.
Jules, I could have you for breakfast, Jules.
I think you started it.
No, but so I want to be clear. Wise Guy is not my autobiography or memoir. It's not like that. It's more like if you've read Chicken Soup for the Soul. Yeah. But it's all my stories. It's more, think of it as like miso soup for the soul. And I know we're in 2 seconds, but what are they going to do? Like not invite us back? So I'm going to tell you one story that is illustrative.
They won't invite me back.
Yeah, that's not my problem. It's flashing red. I actually tell you 2 stories because I like to overpromise and I like to underpromise and overdeliver. So story number 1 is I was, at the time, this is before Mercedes, I owned a Porsche 911. This is like 15 years ago. So I pull up to this stop sign in Silicon Valley, and I look to my left. There's a car with 4 teenage girls smiling at me, making eye contact, giggling and all that, right? So the girl in the front seat motions to roll down the window. So I'm thinking, yeah, I finally arrived. Even teenage girls know who I am. It's because of my Apple background, my speeches, my writing, you know, just like, you know. So I'm thinking all that. I roll down the window. She rolls down her window, and she says to me, "Are you Jackie Chan?" Speaking of rolling a Chinaman. And so ever since that day, it's been my goal in life that someday Jackie Chan is in Hong Kong in his Bentley, and some teenage girl says, "Jackie, roll down your window." And she says to him, "Are you Guy Kawasaki?" Okay, that's story number 1. We're already, let the thing blink. Just cheer here so I don't see it blinking. Story number 2, and my final story, because I just love Australia. I want you to like understand that I want to give you a good session here. So one day, my wife and I were living in San Francisco on Union Street, where it dead ends into the Presidio. So that area, to put it into context, is just like one of the nicest places in. If I were more familiar with Melbourne, I would pick a local area. If you're familiar with Sydney, I would say the equivalent is kind of like Balmoral. Okay? So nice area. So I'm out in front, and this older white woman comes up to me and says, "Do you do lawns?" Yeah. so I'm not going to let her off the hook. I said to her, "So because I'm Japanese, you think I'm the yard man, right?" She goes, No, it's because you're doing a great job. Do you do lawns?" So that's a good enough story there about typecasting and, you know, all that. So then 2 weeks later, my father visits me. I'm 3rd generation, he's 2nd generation American. And I say to him, "Let me tell you this story." I tell him the story. And I fully expect him to go off, right? Like, you know, "So this white woman thought you were a gardener. She doesn't realize that you went to Stanford and you worked for Apple and you're a high-tech success and all that." You know, I fully expect him to totally go off. And you know what he says to me? He says, "Where you live, son, mathematically, statistically, probability, Japanese American clipping the hedge, you were the gardener. So get over it." And that was a pivotal moment in my life, because it taught me, don't look for problems, don't assume the worst about people, give people a break, you know, and freaking man up. Don't be so sensitive. And that was a pivotal moment in my life. So the book is full of stories like that.
That's perfect. Big round of applause.
All right, thank you. Thank you.